The Virtual Boys have been playing Nintendo since they were little. These many years of experience have made them experts in the field, or at least they think so. Join them this week as they talk about saving the Queen, getting a high score, and some Metroid problems. You're listening to the Virtual Boys podcast by Nintendo City. This podcast is done by four friends that talk about anything and everything Nintendo. Check out our website at nintendocity.com and be sure to follow us on your social network of choice. Please be sure to subscribe and share us with your friends. Oh, and please enjoy our show. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Virtual Boys podcast, a Nintendo podcast about Nintendo things. This is episode 63. I'm your host, David. Be afraid. Be very afraid.
One life-sucking Metroid survived the first adventure.
And it's multiplying rapidly.
Samus now must commit genocide.
That was from an old Metroid 2 commercial. And in order you heard us, I'm David. And then James spoke, and then Jordan spoke, and then Skylar spoke. So all four of us are here this week. Woohoo! That's always fun.
Woo-hoo. And we're talking about genocide today, children. So buckle up, you're in for a ride.
Don't let your children listen to it.
Well, thanks for joining me, guys. It's always fun to talk about Nintendo with you, of course. We're going to talk about a few different things today. First, we're going to start with an Ironcast review. It's an indie game that is coming out this week, I think. James got on the 10th, and James got a review copy, and he'll talk about that and let us know how it was. So this episode will be out by the time that game goes live. Then we're going to actually talk about some of our arcade experiences in the past. James went and visited a fun arcade, and we'll get to that. And then we'll talk about some of the new Metroid news from Metroid Samus Returns, the new amiibo and the new Samus Edition 3DS. So before we start, I just want to remind you to check out our Patreon page because these episodes are going up early as a reward for those that support us. You can check that out at patreon.com/Nintensity. All right, well, let's get started. James, you played through Ironcast, so why don't you tell us what the game's about?
Picture, like, Victorian Britain, and instead of, you have the tea and you have the French, they're there too, but then you throw in steampunked and mechs and they're attacking each other and it's raw and puzzles.
Like Codename Steam.
Except this game is better than Codename Steam. You got that going for you, Dreadbit. Dreadbit's the publisher of this game. But anyway,
Steam has Abraham Lincoln.
Yeah, this game has the Queen mentioned in it, but she doesn't make an appearance. So
it was called Abraham Lincoln versus the Aliens in the Japan subtitle.
No way.
Steam. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Like Abraham Lincoln versus the Aliens.
Well, the subtitle for this one is Tea, Puzzles, and Steampunk Mechs. So I don't know how you can go wrong with that. No, I'm kidding. It's just Ironcast. But that's literally all it is. It had this strong British theme around this, British steampunk theme around this puzzle game. So obviously, like Puzzle League in games of that genre, you have to connect, two or more of the same puzzle pieces to make a match. And then when you make a certain amount of matches, you get points added to your reserves. And that reserves can be missiles, energy, coolant, and your repairing. Now, each of these is important because, your missiles are how you attack and your energy is how you move. So it's important to strategize how or which matches you make and how you make them and what turn you do. So when the game first came out, the people at Ripstone, who are the publishers, they were like, hey, this is this is a turn-based strategic game. I was like, okay, are you sure it's not a puzzle game? because it looks like a puzzle game. And yeah, definitely, for sure, you need to have strategy going into this. You think about what you're doing. You just can't just blindly match what you see. You have to think, what am I going to need next in order to take down my enemy? In reality, it's just a puzzle game. So I mean, the mechs in the game, because you customize your mech based on experience and money you get, or not money, well, basically money that you get through matches and stuff like that. And so these mechs have like some features, but you know, it's fairly basic on what they do. You know, understandably, it's not like it's a $60 game or anything. But
so you mentioned T in this game, right?
Yes.
So it's like, is T a power up? Does anyone yell it's T time?
So
and then
okay, so that's one of my issues with the game, is that while they do have a somewhat diverse cast of characters, one, you can only get them after a multiple playthroughs through the games. So you start off with one character, but you could through one playthrough you could probably get another one, which I did, but to get like 3 or 4, it takes a while. But you know, you basically just gotta kind of guess, okay, which character do I think I'll like? You unlock that one, and then you could play as that one in your next playthrough. But
so you choose which one you unlock?
Yeah, you choose which one you unlock, because there's like a price to unlock them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But I don't know. I feel like they could have put a little more characterization into them. They do have personality, for the most part, but
they just act more like skins.
Yeah, in a sense, because no, they do have their own dialogue at times, but it is rather similar, which is understandable because the missions don't really change as you go through the game. But you know, T, you know, doesn't really have that big of a thing. The reason why I mentioned T, because there was one mission where we had to save this boxes of tea from being stolen by the French. For one reason or another, and I thought it was just so hilarious that I was like, "Oh, you British!" kind of a moment, you know.
Brits in your tea.
Oh, Charles, it's tea time now. We can play with our mechs later. Kind of a thing.
Time for a break.
Yeah, well, there was a moment where, and I'll be honest, this game, there are some jokes thrown in the game, so the writing is relatively well done. And so there's one joke where it's like my character kind of questions, why am I gathering this tea? And then the boss lady kind of like questions him, like, or kind of retorts back to him, he's like, are you daft, man? How are we supposed to function without our tea? You need a tea break, or something along those lines. And I don't know, that made me laugh. As far as gameplay goes, yeah, it's fairly simple, but at the same time, if you're not thinking, you will die, and death it's permadeath. So if you fail a mission, as in you die, then you have to start from the very beginning.
That sounds kind of brutal.
It can be very brutal. However, you remember how I said that in order to get characters and other things in the game, you have to spend a certain point system or whatever?
Uh-huh.
Well, in order to get those points, you have to finish that campaign or you end the campaign. Game over. And so when you get those points, you can better permanently upgrade your Ironcast, I guess. I should mention the Ironcast is the name for the mechs. So you permanently upgrade your mechs. You add special kind of abilities that you can possibly pick up. That kind of makes me a little bit upset, but whatever. And then you can get those new characters. So there is incentive to keep trying. Like for myself, I've died a few times. One from my own stupidity, like I got too greedy, or I wasn't thinking about when I went into the mission. And then other times it's totally like, you know, a game of luck, because I couldn't get the right piece or matches that I needed.
Oh,
And so, well, I mean, yeah, I guess that could have been better strategy on my part, but anyway, I like to consider it luck because I'm such a great strategist. No, I'm kidding. But I'm at a point right now where I haven't died in a while because all my permadeaths had led to a stronger Ironcast, and I understand the game better. So in a sense, it's growing through the game. But it was a little off-putting at first. Like, what the heck? I went through all that, and I got to redo it.
You have to restart the game every time you die.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So you can fail a mission and not die. That's possible. But if your Ironcast defense goes to 0 or your health goes to 0, you're out of there. Done. So they actually, when they gave me the review code, they said permadeath is real. Don't be taken aback. I was like, oh, okay. Well, we'll just see how real it is, and it is very real, children. Very real. No, not calling any of you children, but so is it a worthy addition to the Switch library? So if you like strategic games, then yes. I think that it got me thinking, and it kept me on the edge of my seat because, did I make the right choice, or did I get a little too hasty firing at the enemy at that point? It's not the greatest spectacle, but it does its job well enough, as being a strategic puzzle game. So as far as what I would change, before I give kind of my final thoughts, I think this game would actually benefit from multiplayer a little bit. Surprise, surprise. Being that I don't know how a couch co-op would work necessarily, but I
maybe one.
What's that?
Maybe one person take over the puzzle stuff, and the one person take over the RTS, or not the RTS, the strategy stuff. I don't know. Maybe,
but it's pretty. It's pretty I don't know, fairly easy to accomplish on your own. It's not like you're moving the mech yourself. The mech, so, I guess it's hard to. So the mech moves on its own when you make a command for it to move. So it's a 2D static kind of image in a sense. So I'm not sure if having one person control that part, the strategic part, and then one person the puzzle part would necessarily work. If you could have a dual screen, kind of one mech in their puzzle and the other mech in the other puzzle on the other side, and maybe it work like that. I don't know. But online, I think online this game would work fairly well. You can have leaderboards. You could have, you can actually fight people online. I don't need to see what my enemy, what puzzle matching my enemy is doing, because the game, when the enemy mech or Ironcast is attacking me, I don't see what kind of matches they're making. They just attack me, or they boost their defense or something like that. So online, if someone in theory could be doing something else, I just don't see it, and they don't see my screen either. So I think it could work really well. Obviously, they'd have to make sure that no one's, the same level of people are fighting. You don't have a really low-level person fighting someone really high, which has been an issue with some puzzle games in the past that I've heard of. So if they were to go online multiplayer, I think it'd be great, and I think it'd work for this game. Now, I understand that takes a little bit of work, and it probably would up the price a little more. But perhaps maybe if they were to ever to return to this concept again, they could try to add that in it. But I always thought it'd be a little fun to have to go online and play a little bit, if not have a co-op mode. Overall, I enjoyed it. It's a good game. I think stylistically it works, and gameplay wise it's fun. It is a strategic game, so you have to go into this thinking about how you're going to upgrade your Ironcast and how you're going to attack your enemy. So
Okay.
I won't give it a score yet. I'll let my written review handle that. But which my written review actually will probably be. Well, my written review will be out before this one comes out. But I actually haven't come up with a number in my mind yet. So
Okay.
but I'm definitely going to say this game is good. Maybe even great, but we'll see.
And this was one of your most anticipated games for August, right? That's what you were saying last week.
Yeah, oddly enough, it really was, because I've actually really enjoyed puzzle games in the past, and I felt like the Switch really works well with these puzzle type games. And and this may not be I don't think this is the first puzzle game to come to the Switch, but it's definitely a welcome addition to that genre. Oh,
I'm pretty sure there's been a few.
Yeah.
I mean, barring Tetris and Puyo Puyo, but I mean,
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How much does it cost on the eShop?
Oh, that's a good question. I actually.
And it's going to be out before this podcast is released, right?
Yeah.
It's $12.99.
Wow. I think it's a fairly good price, actually. Now, I thought it was like $20, but $12.99. That's pretty good. Mind you, I am the optimistic, so I guess I kind of value things differently. But in my mind, that's a fairly good price. So, one other thing I forgot to mention is that all the controls, everything with the Switch works perfectly. Touchscreen works great. I don't know if this game has been on iOS or Android or anything yet. So I think this would be the first time that they switched to touch controls. I'm not positive. I'll look into that. But
The Switch does touch controls?
yeah, the Switch version has touch controls. So I mean, you can't. It has the option.
Yeah, it's on PC, PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and Nintendo Switch.
Yeah. So unless there's like someone's playing the game on their PC with touchscreen, I think this is the first time that they put the game into a touchscreen platform.
And which do you prefer, sticks or touch?
I think that personally, that's just the kind of player I am, and I do use controls more. But I was using the touchscreen with relative ease. Like there was no issues. And honestly, now that I think about it, with the touch controls, I think you have a little more faith in what you're doing in a sense, because in order for the match to make, you have to like let go of the line of matches. But at the button press, you have to hold the button and let go. So I don't know. I guess what I'm trying to say, it depends on the person. But if you like touch controls, it works. Sorry, it took quite a while with that one, but I've actually been fairly impressed with this game.
Well, we look forward to your written review.
Yeah. Yes, thank you, Charles.
And you can check out Nintensity.com for that review when it goes live. Maybe you've already read it when you listen to this episode. I don't know, because this episode comes out after the review is going to go up. That's interesting to think about. Anyway, do you have any other thoughts on Ironcast, James?
No, unless you guys have questions.
You have covered all the bases, I think, for me. I don't know. Again, Ironcast was provided by the publishers and developers for the purposes of the review. Just so you know. Anyway, let's move on to our next topic, which is some arcade experiences. James is actually going to talk to us again. He went to an arcade, right? Or something cool?
Hello, it's me again.
Hi.
I went to the Smithsonian American Art Museum, and they had this arcade, like old arcade display on their up on the third floor, and they had some pretty cool stuff. They had Donkey Kong 3, Not the original Donkey Kong. Donkey Kong 3.
That's a weird
wow.
choice.
Yeah.
It is
To
kind
put
of
on
a weird
display.
choice.
I think Donkey Kong 3 is my favorite of the original trilogy, though.
Oh, really?
One was Stanley and the bug spray.
Yeah. I had fun with it. In all of these arcades, there was always a line, obviously, so I couldn't get to like play it for a long time. But I Donkey Kong 3 was fun. So was Dr. Mario. They had not Capcom versus Marvel. They had maybe it was Marvel.
Is it SNK?
No, well, it was Marvel versus Street Fighter, but I don't remember what they called the Marvel.
Was it just the X-Men versus Marvel?
No,
Or
because they had
versus Capcom?
Spider-Man.
Oh, they had Spider-Man? Okay.
Maybe it was Marvel Heroes versus Street Fighter. Yeah, either way, it was something versus Street Fighter, and something was Marvel related. So, and it was a rather old system, and I only ever remember playing Marvel versus Capcom on the in the arcade mode. So,
that might be the first one then.
wow,
Well,
that's
Marvel Superheroes versus Street Fighter. Is that the title?
yep, that was it.
Yeah, it's the second game in the series of Marvel
Because
versus
first one was just X-Men, right?
Yeah, it was X-Men versus Street Fighter. So
Yeah.
this is the sequel. And
Yeah.
this game was released first as an arcade, and then it received ports to the Sega Saturn and the PlayStation and the Game Boy.
Wow, the Game Boy?
I think. Well, that's what I see in some of these images. Oh, no, never mind. That's the PlayStation icon. Never
Oh, I
mind.
was gonna say. Whew. I was like, wow.
That's quite the jump.
Yeah. Man, they can press that down to a tiny screen.
I mean, that's always fun. I got some guy like came in when I was trying to play by myself, and he's like, "Oh, I'll play you." And I was like, "Oh, please don't." Please don't. When anybody says, "I'll play you," you know they're gonna be like relatively good and understand the game, and he was.
Just KO you.
I mean, I fought him fairly well, but he definitely did beat me. But
Yeah.
I was just kind of like, I kind of want to enjoy this by myself, but whatever.
Yeah.
But they had Tekken and Street Fighter 2.
Nice.
all sorts of other arcade games, and that was great. Oh, obviously Galaga and Pac-Man and whatnot.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But
It's funny.
the big thing, and these arcades were provided by some arcade company in Texas. I don't know what they were doing over here, but I guess they must be relatively big to be able to have this collection of arcade cabinets. Anyway. So I thought I was done. I was like, okay, third floor. That was pretty cool. I'm gonna head home now. We went down the first floor, and then in the courtyard, inside the museum, there was this long, two long tables of all home consoles, literally all home consoles, except for the Switch. But I was wondering. I don't think they knew how to like set up the Switch in a sense, because what if someone's going to steal it? Anyway, so they had all these consoles. They even had the Virtual Boy. I got to play the Virtual Boy.
Oh,
What?
sweet.
I know. I never
Our
had that.
namesake.
I know. It was the worst thing ever. No.
You can't say that. No, just kidding.
Well,
You're supposed
let
to
me
be
just
biased.
Yeah.
I know. Let me just say I prefer Wii Sports Tennis any day to Virtual Boy Tennis. I could even play that, but it hurts your eyes, and you can adjust the headpiece goggle things to fit your I guess your how tall you are. But for someone who's really tall, it's going to strain your neck. Anyway, that's not the biggest thing I got out of it, but it was pretty cool to see that. They also had the original Donkey Kong, and then they had Excite Bike, and they had an arcade cabinet that had Punch Out on it, along with some other games.
Ooh.
That's
one of my dreams.
Oh, dude!
When they play the Punch Out arcade.
I should have tried, but the line was so long.
That's why.
Yeah, because
It's the arcade version that has Mike Tyson, right?
Yeah.
Mike Tyson was on Punch Out in the NES before they changed his name to Mr. Dream after he bit that guy's ear off.
So he's not in the arcade?
I don't think he was. He might be in the arcade.
Uh-huh.
I know he's in the NES one for sure, though. The original versions.
Yeah. So,
Oddly enough, James,
Yeah, go ahead.
I went to an arcade last week too.
Oh, really?
Because I was in Las Vegas and we hit up a few different arcades and stuff there as well.
Hey.
I have to say something real quick. I looked up the Punch-Out arcade game, and this is interesting for you, Skylar. This was the debut project for Koji Kondo's music. He wrote the music for Punch-Out Arcade before he wrote the music for Super Mario or Legend of Zelda.
I wish I would have played it. Oh well.
Well, there you go.
Oh well.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one of the games I would have really
So
liked
wait,
to
Punch-Out's
play at
older
some
than
point.
Super Mario and Legend of Zelda?
Yeah,
for the NES
Punch-Out-
games, yeah.
Yeah, Punch-Out's super old. It was a arcade cabinet first.
But as
before
Mario as
they released the
referee.
game.
Well, no.
Later.
The arcade game is different from the
Okay.
NES game.
Oh, okay.
Right.
But yeah,
It's one of
it's pretty cool.
That is really cool.
I'm trying to see if I can find a list of the characters that you fight, but it doesn't really have one. But
Yeah, there was one that the wireframe Mac and stuff I think comes from that as well, with the vector graphics.
oh yes, Mike
a lot of
Tyson
other
was
stuff.
added as the game's final boss.
There you go.
So there you
So,
go. Anyway,
So you said you played some arcades.
Yeah, I got to play the Namco Mario Kart finally.
Oh, really? Dude, I love that game.
They had the old machine and the new machine. It was great.
That's
We
awesome.
played both of them. Oh man, me and Mason were having a blast with that. The old one does not control well at all. Like your car just flops around everywhere. But the new one actually plays a lot like Mario Kart 8 and 7 and stuff. Like you fly through the air and under the water, it was a lot of fun.
It's so funny because you have like characters like Pac-Man in there.
Yeah, Pac-Man was there. The Taiko Drum Master. character
Oh
was
my
there.
gosh. Do they have taiko drums there, by the way?
No, I wish they did. But I think
love
that's
that
I
arcade game. Oh my
I think that's a Japan exclusive.
Yeah.
So
Well, it
I'm
makes
not too
sense.
sure. But it's like this Taiko drum character. Everyone was like, "Who the crap is this?" But everybody was playing as the Taiko drum guy. So whatever. I played as Waluigi and Pac-Man and
Nice.
some Wario. and
Nice.
stuff.
That's really cool.
It's a good arcade.
They randomize the items you get. It's super weird. Like before you go into a race, you have a select 4 items that they randomize. Those are the only 4 items you can get throughout the map.
Wow.
It's really weird. The controls are pretty good on the new one, and they randomly select your car.
Oh, I don't remember that. Maybe I only played the old version. I don't remember.
Yeah, the new one randomly selects your car. It's super weird.
Although I
They
feel
added
like
in-
mine was relatively anyway. But you collect coins, right?
Yeah, you collect coins and
remember
stuff. Speed up.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun to play.
Anything else?
Hit up a different. Like
I
you
heard
said,
that-
they had a bunch of Street Fighter machines.
Oh,
And,
dude,
I
that's
heard
cool.
that they had the largest Pac-Man game machine there.
yeah, I played that too.
Oh, cool.
yeah, I think your brother posted on Facebook a picture of that or something.
Yeah, Mason took a picture of it. We played it together. We did the co-op.
That's
we got
cool.
pretty far. Just hit up the old Miss Pac-Man machines, the old Street Fighters.
They had Miss Pac-Man
Played-
in my thing too. Hey, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, some pinball cabinets they had there. They had the Star Trek one, which was cool.
So where was this arcade in Vegas?
We went to the one in Circus, and then we went to the one in Excalibur.
Oh, so you went to
Okay.
2 different ones. Okay.
Yeah, we went to a bunch of different places in Vegas. So
I'll have
That's
to check
cool.
it out next time in Vegas.
yeah, they had some really fun arcade cabinets. Definitely wouldn't see them in Utah. Oh, they had the F-Zero GP cabinets too.
Ooh, wow.
For the F-Zero GX.
That's pretty
yeah,
crazy.
Remember
The
that?
one made by Sega, right?
Did they have?
Yeah, the one made by Sega.
Did they have working GameCube memory card slots?
No, they had the cards. Like you know in Japan how they have those little arcade cards
Uh-huh.
that have your profile on them. They
Yeah.
had those.
Oh,
Wait, do they
And
so do they have cards at that arcade?
no, they didn't. But they had them in the machine.
Lame.
It's super confusing.
They were probably just.
But-
Wait, was the machine in English?
Yeah, it was in English.
Huh. Weird.
I was kind of puzzled why they took the GameCube memory card functionality off of it, but especially considering that's half the fun.
yeah,
Whatever.
saving over it. See,
Yeah.
I don't have a whole lot of arcade experience myself. I remember going to like Classic Fun Center or whatever it's called years ago and
Before
playing.
it died.
Yeah, playing Donkey Kong 2, and Donkey Kong 3, and those were super fun. But as a kid and at arcades, when we'd go to like, all these places for parties and stuff, I'd always just play the games that got me tons of tickets, and I'd never play like the fun games. Like I got really good at Deal or No Deal. Like let me tell you, I could win so many tickets from that. But
cheat the system.
Yeah,
No
pretty
deal,
much.
Howie.
No deal,
No
Howie.
deal.
Whenever I go into an arcade, my first objective is to see, do they have Missile Command? If not, go to Space Invader. Hopefully they have one.
That's
If
funny.
not, just Pac-Man. I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
And
But
yeah,
I don't know. I like being in an environment where I don't. I have the chance to fail and learn the game without having to lose
Yeah.
credits.
yeah.
Oh.
I feel the same way.
They had Simpsons Arcade too. That was fun.
Oh, I love that. I love the
Played some
Simpsons
Simpsons
one. I
arcade.
love the was it an X-Men one?
Is that Turtles in Time?
I know Turtles in Time. I like that one too. I feel like there was another one, but I can't remember it. But anyway,
Good times.
yeah, that was also what's so great about the thing I went to was, you didn't have to pay money for it. You just go. You just had to deal with the lines, that's all. And to be honest, they weren't terribly long unless you had to play Punch-Out or Excite-Bike. Excite-Bike was really long. It was crazy.
Must have been good.
I think the reason why, because there was this one guy who just, every time I look over there, he was still there. I don't know if he just ever, I don't think he ever lost. He just kept going.
I'm still winning. You can't kick me off while I'm still playing.
For me, yeah, for real. For me, a lot of my arcade experiences came from like places that had, like pizza places that had arcades.
Yeah.
But also, one of my jobs had an arcade in the bowling alley. I worked at a bowling alley, and they had Time Crisis 4 there. Oh gosh, I love that game. It's on the newer side of things, but it's obviously still, I find it a lot of fun. But so a lot of my arcade experience actually comes from Japan. So I have all these like Japanese arcades, like Silent Hill and stuff. I mean, obviously they've come to America, but I've experienced them all in Japanese. In a time where I was still trying to learn Japanese, so it's like I have no idea what's going on. I just shoot the zombies.
Have any of you got to play the Luigi's Mansion arcade yet?
No,
I
I
haven't.
haven't.
They had that one there too. It was really fun. It was just like Dark Moon, but
I've
you
heard
actually
good things about
hold
it.
the vacuum. You hold the vacuum cleaner in your hand.
That's so
that's
cool.
You suck up ghosts, and you feel everything go in too. It was really like all the
HD
coins and
Rumble?
ghosts. Yeah, HD Rumble.
Jeez. So did Nintendo make that before the Switch?
I think Namco or Sega did.
Oh, okay.
I can't remember who made it, but it was one of those two.
That's
Cool.
freaking
But
awesome.
it was a really good adaptation of Dark Moon, though.
So I have one more thing I want to talk about from my experience. So there was a developer table, a bunch of indie developers that were there, along with the 2 rows of game systems with all their famous games. They had indie developers there, and there was a couple for the Switch. I got to talk to one guy who's working on Kickstarter right now. He was originally only going to bring it to PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and PC, but he recently announced that it's coming to Nintendo Switch. It's called Track Her. Now, it's a play on words. It's Tracker, but Track Her. You get it? Like,
So it's a
at
stalker
the
game?
age. What's that?
It's a stalker game?
Yes. No. No, it's not a soccer game, but it's basically you control 2 ships simultaneously. Like, one stick controls the left side ship, and the right stick controls the right ship. And so the left side screen acts as a generic shoot 'em up. You're on a x-axis. Is that what it is? The left to right. Is that x-axis?
Yeah.
So you're stuck on that axis, but you can move between it, and you're just shooting up at enemies. But then on the right side, it's free roaming in like this grid kind of environment, and you're supposed to collect the materials and upgrades that affect the ship on the left side. And when you destroy enemies on the left side, it in turn helps the ship on the right. And so basically, you're trying to work together with the girl pilot, which is on the right, and that's why it's called Track Her. So either that sounds confusing to you, or that sounds simple. But either way, you can't fully understand it until you sit down and play it, because it's a trip. I've never multitasked before. Okay, wait. I've never really. I don't multitask well, but as I was playing this game, because he let me go through all the level. Well, not all the levels, like the 3 tiers of difficulty. As I was going through it, I felt I got more used to the controls, and I almost felt like a chameleon, looking like simultaneously at both sides of the screen and understanding what's going on. But it was a lot of fun. At first, it was a little hectic. It was a little over my head, but at the end of it, I was like, wow, I really enjoyed it. I want to get the highest score possible. The really interesting thing about this one, besides the controlling 2 ships at once, is the leaderboard kind of permadeath thing. I don't know what it is up with these indie developers and permadeath, but
yeah, jeez,
game should be harder, James.
Yeah, I mean, really though, he says if you go into a mission and you die, you fail the mission, all your points are gone. Everything's gone. So you have to start from the beginning. And if you beat the levels and you have your high score, the minute you go back and try to redo that score gets banished from the leaderboard. So,
wow.
Yeah, it's a really like, you know, it wants you to keep trying for the best. And
I don't know if it's punishing you for trying a second time by deleting it from the leader score.
Now I may have misheard that, but
brutal.
He definitely,
yeah, it's really punishing.
He definitely mentioned something along those lines. JC, if you hear this, I'm sorry if I made that wrong. So I'll just say that could be what is going to happen, or maybe it's actually not that, and your score will stay the same. But there is a constant worry that you're going to lose all your points. I definitely felt that going through it. You're as you move through the tiers, you bet on the points you're going to make and things like that. So it's a high risk, high reward kind of a game. He says, you know, some people would call it a shoot 'em up. I call it a risk 'em up. and then he's like, that's stupid, don't say that.
Well, that's what it says on his Kickstarter page. I just pulled it up.
Yeah.
It literally says, a dual hand disaster tracker is a split screen single player twin stick risk 'em up.
Yeah, it's a risk 'em up. It's not multiplayer, it's single player. It's meant to be that way, at least. But with the Switch, I mean, you have 2 Joy-Cons, so you probably could manage fairly well with 2 people. Mm-hmm. But that's probably cheating. I don't know how he's gonna address that. But anyway, yeah. So he has the game on Kickstarter. It is coming. It will come to the Nintendo Switch, no matter how much money is donated on a Kickstarter. But obviously, every little bit helps. And he developed this game all by himself. He dropped out of school to do this. It's kind of his pet project in a sense, and it looks really well for someone who did it all by himself. It's pretty amazing. So I hope we get a chance to take a look at this game further on, and yeah, I'm not sure what his goal is to get the game out by, but we'll see, and we'll keep you up to date on news and stuff like that from him. So. Tracker. Check out Kickstarter. Yeah.
Hey everybody, it's your friend David, just hopping in the middle of the episode as per usual to give you a few reminders about a few things. The first is to check out our website at nintensity.com. Nintensity is a website all about Nintendo things, just like this podcast, but is rather the home of the podcast, meaning that's where we're posting all of our news, all of our opinions, of course, these episodes, and much more. If you'd like to help write for us, whether it be covering news or writing your own opinions or reviews, just send us an email at contact@nintensity.com or check out our Discord server by going to nintend.city/discord. Just hit me up with a message and let me know what you want to do, what you want to write about, and we'll be able to get you in as a part of the team. We also want to remind you to check out our Discord by going to nintend.city/discord, where we're trying to build a community of gamers where we can talk about all things Nintendo. We've also got some various side channels for different topics. We'll probably be working on fleshing out our experience as we get more people to join the server so that there are more customizable options and other such things so that the server can be a welcoming place to everybody. We also want to remind you to check out our Patreon at patreon.com/Nintensity. This is one of the best ways to help us directly. By going to Patreon and pledging an amount per month, you'll be able to help support the show. Not only that, but you'll be able to get access to these episodes early. We've got some other rewards in store as we expand, and we're excited to let you know what those are going to be. Again, that's at patreon.com/Nintensity. We'd also like to remind you to check out our social media accounts. Our Twitter is @Nintensity and our Facebook is also Nintensity. We've been sharing our news and articles and stuff on there, as well as some other fun little things. So keep an eye out for those and be sure to follow us and share our page with your friends. That's just about it for this mid-episode break. I'll let you get back to our discussion. Again, our show notes are at nintend.city/EP63. Thanks again for listening, and I'll let you get back to it. All right, well, let's move on to the Metroid news that we got this week, at least for a little while. So Nintendo's had a little bit of some problems with the Metroid amiibo. Maybe not problems, but like controversy, I guess you could say.
Definitely controversy, yeah.
The Metroid amiibo, which one is it? The Metroid itself, the squishy Metroid itself.
The squishy one.
Is the only way to play fusion mode, which is the tier above hard mode.
Monsters.
Yes. So it's a harder hard mode.
Right.
Yeah,
now, keep in mind when this was originally reported, it was from it first was reported on the Japanese website, translated as this is the way you unlock fusion mode, which is a hard mode. And then that's what it said on the English site. So everyone thought this was the only hard mode in the game, and the only way to unlock it was with this amiibo.
Right. And so now we know that there are two hard modes, and the fusion mode that's unlockable with the squishy Metroid amiibo is harder than the other normal mode. And it's
Is it just harder just because you're going to be using the fusion suit?
I'm not entirely sure.
They haven't specified. They just said it's going to be harder than hard mode. So,
yeah, it's just going to be harder. And
the PR is just a complete mess with explaining what these amiibos are.
I would agree. I don't know why there needs to be secrecy on this, especially since the game's coming out on the 15th. Doesn't quite make sense when you get right down to it.
15th of September, just for clarity.
Yeah. So next month. But still, like, the amiibo, all of the pre-orders are basically gone, right? I don't think I can find them anywhere else.
No, I've tried all afternoon. There's nothing.
Luckily, I was able to get one the day they announced it. So hopefully GameStop gives me my pre-order and doesn't cancel mine.
What I think is interesting is that this 2-pack is $30.
It was 20 when I pre-ordered.
On all the websites now that says they're 30.
Really?
Yeah, it says 30 on GameStop.
Which is super weird because it should have been 25, I think.
Best Buy.
I don't know. All I know is I got the package. I was going to cancel it, but now that I found out this, I'm going to hold on to it, definitely.
This is so stupid. Like, the one amiibo I don't pre-order. the one that unlocks hard mode. It's ridiculous. Nintendo wasn't really known for locking modes behind amiibo. That's not really something they've done, besides, I guess, Mario Party 10, but no one liked that game, so...
Okay.
Yeah, they should have taken that as a warning or something.
Yeah, maybe. So here are my thoughts on this. I don't think they did this for we're gonna make people buy the amiibos. I think because then they would have made more, right? But obviously this is Nintendo, so
this is Nintendo
out the window. However, I think it was more of like we have this amiibo and we want there to be amiibo functionality for it. What would be a cool idea? Well, that would be a cool idea. Yeah, sure, if everyone would get their hands on it. But I honestly think it was a genuine idea from the developers. They're like, hey, let's have this be with the amiibo as a cool incentive. I don't think they had any ill intent behind it or forcing people necessarily to buy the amiibo. I just feel like
I'm not going to contest that. I think you are correct. Yeah. But at the same time, I don't like the idea of amiibo locking like functionality of a game behind them. Like the thing with the amiibo, when they first were announced, it was for Smash Bros. And the amiibo gave you functionality that you couldn't get otherwise through the amiibo, not because they locked it behind the amiibo, but because the amiibos themselves were save data for characters, and so it made sense to have that content be locked with amiibos because it isn't possible to have that content without amiibos. It isn't possible to develop that content without amiibos. And as things have kind of progressed along, now there are way too amiibos being produced way too fast in way too short of supply for each amiibo. You need to collect every single one just to get like specific things. Whereas before, I was hoping that Link, we may see multiple iterations of Link, but all Link amiibos are Link amiibos. And that would have made things a lot better, in my opinion. Where there's not so much need to go back and now if I want like the missile reserve tank to 100% this Metroid game, I have to go find the Smash Bros version of Samus. Luckily I have Zero Suit Samus, but the Smash Bros version of Samus is going to go skyrocketing once this game comes out. And it's never going to be reprinted again. And that whole functionality is completely unavailable to me. Unless if I use Skylar's, I guess. So I guess
just trade the Metroid amiibo, and when we go over, just tap each other's things.
Yeah. I'd be okay with the exclusive content if they were being creative with the content with the amiibo in mind. Like, I don't know. I don't even know. Maybe not every game needs to even have amiibo support. People aren't buying the amiibos for the exclusive content, or at least that's not the intended reason for buying the amiibos, or the primary purpose. People want them because they look cool, because people like having a Greninja toy sitting on their desk. As for mine, I haven't used my Greninja amiibo anywhere. I still own one because I like Greninja.
Yeah,
it's like my Mewtwo or my Lucas. I haven't used them in maybe a year and a half. They're just sitting up on my shelf, and I love them because I see them every day.
A lot of people don't even open their amiibos, so they don't even have any intention of ever using them.
Yeah, I just have an army of amiibo on my shelf.
yeah, you do.
Just take them over in a Smash tournament and just let them wreck face or something. But I don't know.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
All Nintendo needed to do was just give little tiny quirky things that come with the amiibos, like tapping the Metroid amiibo, you get the fusion suit. It doesn't really have any functional purpose, but it's nice to have the design or something, just like alternate skins and stuff that people are like, whatever, you have it or you don't have it, it doesn't matter. It's just a fun little bonus, not an entire art gallery or hard mode or whatever.
Well, I think the art gallery, I think that falls along with something kind of.
If this were 10 years ago, the functionality hidden behind the amiibos would have just been in the game.
Yeah, I agree.
True.
Yeah, it would have been.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like some of the bonus content in Metroid Prime 3 and Metroid Prime Trilogy. You cleared some achievements in the game and you got points to spend. So it's that same kind of thing. The art gallery was locked behind that system instead of Amiibo. So
right.
Yeah, this basically just becomes physical DLC by this point.
Yeah.
Well,
You're
That's what
spending
I
a
think
crap
is
ton-
worse than DLC because it's less available.
Right.
And
That's the
if
thing.
we can't even like reliably get the DLC, this physical DLC, the day the game is released, how are collectors or people that jump in the game like say a couple months even or years down the road supposed to get these?
Yeah. It's such a big controversy. Like, I would understand it more if there were more copies of the Amiibo running around. Even like, not saying that it's like the best solution or anything close to that, but if I could still get my hands on a pre-order for these Amiibo, I wouldn't be as upset as I am. But I don't have the pre-order, and I know
Right.
Skylar doesn't, and I would like to get them now.
So luckily
it's-
for the two of you,
right.
I will hopefully have it. So then
Yes.
you guys can use mine. But
See, that is
See,
nice.
that-
You can use other people's amiibos.
See, it's kind of fun. I didn't really want these amiibo until they announced this. Like a squishy Metroid amiibo, that's cool. Like that's really cool. But I already have a Samus amiibo and everything.
yeah, when
But now I
I
have
pre-ordered
to-
mine, my entire thought process was, ooh, Samus looks cool in that pose with the original Metroid 2 pose, and it also comes with this cool Metroid. It had nothing to do with the functionality, and I think they sold out before the functionality was even announced. So
Yeah, definitely.
why does the functionality even have to be there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe
Yeah,
have
so-
the functionality be you just unlock hard mode as soon as you buy the game instead of having to earn it by beating the game.
So
Yeah,
that'd be
that
cool
would be
too.
nice.
So I'm just gonna throw this out there, just kind of saying. One thing that people were complaining about amiibos before all this was that they didn't do that much, and you've always been given the argument, well, they should only have like little things with the games. Fair, and I agree with that. But there are those who are saying, hey, my amiibo is not really doing anything. Why am I buying this? And so maybe they looked at that and thought, hey, we need something bigger to go with these amiibo. They need more incentive to buy these, which they don't need more
But we
incentive.
don't need the incentive.
Right, I know.
those people can
I'm
Stop
just
buying
saying-
the Amiibos and let the rest of us get them because they're hard enough to find.
Right. No, true. I mean, I did get one based on the mere fact that it's a squishy amiibo, squishy Metroid. That sold me. I don't know. I guess I'm trying to say Nintendo isn't the bad guy here, and I feel like not everyone. Sorry,
No,
that's
I don't think
that's
there's
very
anyone
general.
that's a bad guy. I just
very
think that
general.
Nintendo isn't quite aware of what is going on.
And they've never been
And-
aware.
Yeah, and I just want to get my voice out, and hopefully other people hear, so then the voice gets magnified, and then Nintendo may one day hear it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That's fair enough. It's fair enough. I mean, they do need to listen, and like I was saying, if they were taking into consideration that people were complaining about not enough amiibo functionality, or there's no reason to buy the amiibo, and that's why they did this. So maybe they are listening, and maybe they'll take this feedback and say, okay, we won't do that again. But
Yeah.
I don't know.
I hope so.
Or at least announce the functionality with the amiibo so people can plan ahead.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That too. Oh well.
But with I don't know, with the amiibo, like in Metroid 2, like all the 2D Metroid games, I like to work my way up to the extreme difficulty.
Right.
And now I can't do that unless I have
You still
the
do,
amiibo.
because you can't use the Amiibos until you've beaten the game.
You can't use the amiibos till you beat it.
Not if you want the extra content, yeah.
Oh,
They'll give you, if you use them before you beat the game, all they'll give you is reserve tanks and stuff.
interesting.
The squishy Metroid amiibo allows you to find other Metroid in the game, which is pretty cool.
So with the E-tanks and stuff, do those count towards 100% totals?
No,
I don't think so.
they just refill.
Yeah, it's just a refill. It's not you get an extra tank or anything from them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and
It
one
just
does
refills
missiles, one does energy.
And one does the Eon Reserve, which is what lets you do your super moves or special
Yeah.
skills.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that would make me want it too, because if getting a Metroid would make finding the other Metroids easy.
Yeah. See that's another. I think that's a really nice thing too for someone as not as skilled as myself.
Directionally challenged as myself. But yeah, Metroid 2, I played it on the original Game Boy. It's freaking hard to find those Metroids, man. They're hiding all over the place. And that something like that, a Metroid tracker would have been brilliant.
Keep in mind that they are completely redesigning the map of the world. So we don't know how difficult it's going to be to find these Metroids.
Good point.
Yeah.
Good point.
Yeah, well, we'll see what ends up happening. We're approaching an hour of the podcast, I think. So
I understand your guys' frustration. I really do. And I probably would be a lot more frustrated if it was like something to do with Zelda. Although I wasn't too upset with the DLC hard mode kind of a thing. But that's because one reason that is because anybody can buy that. That's available
for now
at any time.
Yeah,
but say like 10 years from now, if you're a late adapter to the Switch and the internet's down,
it's apocalypse then.
I don't know. The Wii Shop channel's still up. The Wii Shop channel's still up, so maybe the eShop will still work.
Say 10 years from now, they have that functionality with the Daruk amiibo, and if you want to play as Daruk in the new Zelda game, you're gonna have to get that
10
amiibo.
years from now, they're still adding things to the Breath of the Wild, and they haven't released
not
a new
to Breath
Zelda
of the
game.
Wild. I'm talking about the next Zelda game.
No, they haven't released a new Zelda game. They're still adding things to the Breath of the Wild.
Yeah, but they like to bring in all these retro amiibos
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
So you have no idea what these amiibos are going to give you in the future.
Exactly.
Yes.
I think the amiibos need to be delegated to smaller content or getting specific content that's already available in the game sooner. Making things more convenient for the players. Something that's completely optional and not mandatory to get.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, I agree with that.
The most ideal thing for me, though, is having a game where you can use the amiibo.
Well, they tried that with the Animal Crossing spinoff.
Yeah, but that wasn't executed very well. That doesn't count.
Got that game.
That game was an excuse for those amiibo to exist.
Maybe a Disney Xfinity except for Nintendo.
Yeah,
that'd be fun.
I would love
something like that.
that.
Would be really fun. I think that's what's lacking with the amiibo. So you don't need to have the locked hard mode. No more. Just have a game where these amiibo play a part in, or however you do it. And in that sense, there'll be more incentive to buy the game, these amiibo, no matter what, even if they don't announce the functionality in other ways initially.
Right. Yeah.
Right. I totally agree with that.
Anyway.
If the amiibo had a central purpose before being,
exactly
extra.
So people won't say, I'm not going to buy it because I already have a Metroid amiibo.
Yeah. Well, I think that's gonna do it for us today, huh? I think we've expressed ourselves well enough on the Metroid amiibo problems. So, before we end this episode, I'd just like to thank you for joining us. Your support means a ton.
And as always, we'd like to give a shout out to Skylar for all the music he's done for our podcast and for hopefully future things that we make. You can check out his SoundCloud where he's doing remixes of video game songs and soundtracks, and they sound amazing. He's actually a music major, and he wants to go into this, so support him on SoundCloud, and you'll see hear lots of beautiful music.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's soundcloud.com/Skytar, 5KYTAR.
And I'd like to shout out to our Patreons, Chris and Chase. Your support means a ton. If you want to go join them, go to patreon.com/NintendoCity. Remember, the episodes go up early as a reward for those that support us.
And I'd also like to invite you to join our Discord community. We're trying to set it up as a fun place for people to come visit and hang out. Head to nintendo.city/Discord to join us today.
And that's it for this episode of the Virtual Boys podcast. Thanks again for tuning in this week. Don't forget to subscribe and rate us on iTunes. And we'd also remind you to check out our website at nintendocity.com where you can find news, show notes, and more. This week's show notes are at nintendo.city/EP63. Thanks for joining us, and we'll catch you next time.
Bye!
See ya.
Goodbye, you good people. Me later.